it's just Discord completely dying.
Interesting, yeah.
Let's
Well,
go.
I can see the stream at least.
You can see the stream? That's all
Yep.
that matters. Because it will work. Once you see the stream, it will start working. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so first of all, right, what's the first thing you do again when you're with the team? What do you need to analyze before you've even left spawn?
Scouting what comp they're running.
Before you've even left spawn,
Yeah.
what team comp do you have? Right? And that, not just, oh, you know, we have this team comp, I knew that. Okay?
Mhm.
What your like goal is with this team comp. Okay? So as a Zen, okay, this comp is dive, right? Full dive. As a Zen, what's the most important toolkit you have with full dive? What's like your number one priority to be doing?
Discording targets that my team is focusing on.
Exactly, right?
Like key
Discording dive
targets.
targets. That's the first thing you need to analyze, and you just need to know that. The second thing is once you've left spawn, you need to know what the enemy team have, right? Then you need to analyze weaknesses for you. Does that make sense? So like, who would be killing you? Who is a kind of like key killer
Right.
of you, and how you should be like avoiding them. So let's say you've scouted. Let's get to the point where you actually scout them and see them. Let's say now you've been told by your team what they have, and it's like spam with those characters. Who's like the big kind of scary target for you out of their team? Or what's the
I'd say-
scary moves that you need to look out for? There's only like 3, really.
Yeah, I'd say the like biggest threats for me is the Orisa pull and the 2 snipers.
Exactly. That's it. That's exactly what I was going to say. So Orisa Paul is the biggest threat. Then other than that, it's Dynamite, right? And then Widow.
Yeah.
Widow's a big threat for every character in the game other than tanks. So that's fine. But obviously you're Zen, you know that. And then it's the Dynamite. If the Dynamite hits you with a damage boost, you can straight up just die as Zen from like one other bullet. Okay. So those are your biggest threats, right? So then you need to know, how do you avoid those threats? What's the best way to avoid snipers?
Just stay out of their LOS and using
Yep, just
natural
corner peek
cover.
really quickly. Corner peek really quickly. So the in and out strat, just in and out. That's all you need to
Yep.
do. A quick out, or the quick in and out first, just to scout to see where they are standing, and then the second one, you know, throw a Discord on as your teammates are going in. You don't have to just keep on peeking or stay in the open too much. You can charge up a right click, peek out. The problem is once you do it, let's say 2 or 3 times, what's the Orisa going to try and do?
Pull.
Yeah. So
and then
in
Dynamite, and then it'll be more predictable for the headshot on the Widow.
You'll be dead. You'll be dead. If you get pulled, you're pretty much like dead by a good team. So the point is, right, if you are doing this peak strategy, you know, maybe peek once to scout and then just wait and peek the second time with the dive. That's it. No more peeking, right? Once the dives come out, you can then peek to like right click, left click, blah, 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 heal. It's way, way safer once the dives actually come out. But before the fight started, you should literally only be peeking once just for scouting, and then you never peek again. You stay away from the corner. With the old Orisa, this was even harder because the pull was like double the range. You'd have to stand like miles away. With the new one, you can be just around the corner and you'll be fine as long as you know the Orisa pull range. Yeah?
Yep.
That's it. Right, let's watch if like this is kind of what you do. Now, I can see you're doing it right now. You haven't even peeked once yet. Peeking once is fine just to see where the enemies are. Because with the first peek, the enemies are no way going to expect a Zen to come around the corner, right? If you've come up to this corner hidden, they're never going to know which side you're at. So they're not going to waste a pull on that. Do you see what I mean? Right?
Yep.
I mean, maybe if the Widow's insane, she'll just like be zooming in already and she'll like flick you and kill you instantly with one peek. But if you do the peek quickly enough, it is humanly impossible. If you just do the DA, like really, really quick. And honestly, especially I have kind of like a photographic memory. For me, it's really easy. I can peek out for half a second or even less, like 0.1 second, and know exactly where all the players are and where they're all standing. Do you see what I mean? Right? For you, it might be a bit harder and you might have to peek for a bit longer, but quick peeks, you
I'll
can do
get
that.
used
So
to it.
anyway, what do you think about this position where you are right now? Risky.
Fairly
This is
risky,
risky. You're
yeah.
so close to the edge. You don't need to be there. Just stand on the statue here and wait, right?
Mhm.
Remember, everyone can peek once. Everyone on the team can peek once against the Widow because you're all going to be peeking from different places and you're all going to be different characters with different head hitboxes. So all of you peeking once just to see where the enemies are is fine, right? To do that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, wait, what was I looking at? Lunchbox here. This is really, really risky for him doing that. But that's absolutely fine. But yeah, right now you're a bit too far out. You're a bit too far to the right and you're a bit too far forward. I guess you get back anyway. You're doing the strafe here. Don't bother with that. You can be looking at a wall and then turning around to see where your team are, looking at a wall, but you need to be in a position ready to do the out and in strafe like that, right? And do it once, as I said, you'll be fine. You need to kind of know where the enemies are, so you know where you're going to be looking when you do the second peek to Discord. Does that make sense? Because if you just walk out here and you have to Discord immediately, you'll stand out here for too long because you don't know where the enemies are. So you're trying to kind of like see who it is and where they are. Do you see what I mean? So the initial like instant in and out peek like that should always be done by you just to see where the enemies are holding, so you know you can like keep your aim like still looking at a wall, and then you can go out like this and you're already looking at them and you already know which kind of area you need to be looking to Discord the person that's being dived. See what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And like this is what happened here. So your exit around this corner was really, really, really rough, right? It was, watch it again. It needs to be smooth and it needs to be just out like that. You kind of went like this. You kind of did a curve like that. Can you see the problem right now? Look at your screen. You're looking at the pillar just randomly in the middle, and the enemies can see you. That's a weak peak, in my opinion. And well, it is a weak peak, right? You need to be literally, the moment the enemies can see you, you're looking at them perfectly with your mouse. So like in, out like that, where my camera is. Imagine my camera was me playing Zen like that. See? So you do in, out the first time, you wait, you can look around, but then you just aim at the wall like there while standing here, and then you can go out and you're already looking at the enemies. See what I mean? Right? This peak here was a bit weak, unless you're looking for a rotation. And then look, see, you're not even aiming at them. You're not ready. And now you've peaked out way too much. Already, you're out for too long. Now, don't get me wrong, right? If there's a shield in the way and you can't Discord anyone, should you be like peeking out and holding out here for too long? No, you can't Discord anyone. It's fine, right? The shield's in the way. That's not a problem. What can you do? What can you use this time to do?
Either just spam or rotate.
Rotate. So you could spam with a right click, charge up a right click as your team goes in. So then when you peek out, you fire a right click. The shield might break by that time, but it will do some shield damage at least. Or you can rotate. Use this distraction as your team to diving in to like rotate to another position if you want to, you know, take this like off angle for easier Discords. You don't have to do this, because if you do this, it's really risky. You know, if the Ash knows or saw you rotate, she could be right here and you're dead in a 1v1. But because Zen is floating, people can't hear his footsteps. So if you wait somewhere long enough and you start to flank, they will never expect it, and then you'll be able to get a Discord past the shield. Okay?
Yep.
Up to you to try like a plan like that. And again, against people that like kind of forget quickly or don't really have good awareness, this will work a lot, flanks like that, right? So anyway, let's watch what happens here. So you go in shooting, you're just in the open here. This is like suicide. You run to the side here, but I feel like this wasn't your original plan. It's a good thing to do, but it wasn't your original plan, because you kind of walked out here, you started shooting, and then you were like, oh, okay, I'll go this way. Do you see what I mean? It was kind of like not a clean rotation, and it was slower than it could have been, but the end result was good. The peak there to heal, absolutely fine. You can do peaks like that. Just be careful now, because obviously... Right, actually, this is a good thing. What's going to happen now that this Ed's got a pick on Raccoon?
I mean, they're probably just going to go for the res, or...
Yep, they're going to go for the res, right?
Opening.
Yep. So when they're going for the res, again, it's a distraction. You have an opening, but the point is, right, if Ed's managed to get a pick on Raccoon, what does that mean about the Orisa shield?
About the Orisa shield?
Yeah, what does it mean about if the Ed has managed to get a pick? What does it mean? The Orisa shield.
Not there.
Yeah, it's not there.
Broken,
so what you can do is, if you're standing right next to a corner, remember you can be right next to a corner as long as, you know, the Orisa's used her pull or she's not pulling you, whatever. You can be right next to a corner where my camera is, and enemies won't know you're standing right next to the corner. You could be all the way over here for all they care, right? They don't know that. And the moment you see there's like a pick, or like someone says the shield is down, or like Ed's actually managed to get a pick like this is your time to peek out and Discord the Orisa. By the way, once someone's Discorded, even if they're behind the shield, what do you need to do to just reset the Discord?
Just
to like
get
keep it on them
again, just peek.
Yeah, so just peek out for a millisecond, literally just in and out. And you can do it while crouching, you can do it while uncrouching, just in and out. If you do it like carefully enough, and if you do it well enough, right, you can even peek like this to this point where the Widow won't even see you. You're just peeking so you can see the Orisa. See? Can you see like the enemies that can see you are here, but the Orisa's here and you can see her because the wall's like half and half. Do you see what I mean? So if you get good at it, you can just do a millisecond peek where you can only see the Orisa. It's quite hard, right? It's not easy, but the last one I just did then was a good example. See what I mean? But anyway, that's information you can give yourself without having to peek yourself, right? Because as you know, peeking yourself is scary, and I don't think your teammates are going to be calling out when the shield is down. It's down too often, right? And it just clutter comms. So that's information you can kind of give to yourself. And also, if you haven't got that information, let's say that the Widow didn't kill anyone, right? And you want to figure out when the shield is down, you've got two options. First of all, peek, just do a mini quick peek, right? But an even safer option you can do is just wait a certain amount of time. After about, you know how long the Orisa shields last, and you know if your teammates are shooting at them. So if you wait maybe like 5 seconds and try and peek out, the shield might not be there. Do you see what I mean? It's between so Orisa's shield cooldown. I don't know the exact number, but she's just placing it here. Let's see. 10 seconds, right? Does that make sense? So the Orisa shield cooldown is 10 seconds. So what you can do is when you see the shield up, you can be like, okay, I'm waiting 10 seconds. So between 7 to 10 seconds after hiding, you can peek out and go for a Discord. Right in your head, so it's like, oh, it's been 7 seconds. I'm going to peek out because you won't have a shield yet, and her old shield might have been destroyed by now. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can try, and obviously it disappears after a while as well. What were you saying?
Yeah. There is also, I know for Ryan, you hear when his shield breaks because Ryan goes like shield down or whatever.
Yeah, like
Orisa,
shatters.
Yeah, but Orisa, you also hear it, don't you? I think.
Yeah. All shields breaking make
a
shield breaking. All shields breaking make a shield break sound. It's just sometimes it's hard to hear. Okay,
yeah,
but yeah, if you can hear it, that is your time to basically peek out and Discord the Orisa. And why is it by default the Orisa should be Discorded by default? Just by default. If you can Discord anyone, why is it the Orisa first?
I mean, because she would be the most.
She's easiest to hit,
she's the main
and she's
tank,
closest
easy
to people.
hit.
Yeah, and she's closest to your team. Exactly, right? So by default, having a Discord in the Orisa means she can't play as aggressive. She has to back up a bit more. And if she backs up a bit more, her shields are going to be weaker, right? And she's also not going to be able to be a tank, basically. Do you see what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So having a Discord default in the Orisa is great if you can, but when your team is diving, you need to listen out for who they're diving for, and you need to basically be Discording that person instead. Okay? But anyway, we know now the Ashe is going to get dived, and what should you do here while your team, other than, peeking and trying to Discord the Orisa, let's say you've done that, what should you do now while you're waiting?
Continue on to the left flank.
What? But, okay. So left flanking like this, as I said, it's good if you want to go for like a risky play and you maybe hold down like a right click or just peek out just so you can see who it is, right? What's the actually? We'll go through the left flank a bit. What's the disadvantage of holding down a right click and peeking like this on the flank and then releasing it, or just holding it down?
There's an audio cue. You hear it.
Exactly. So if you do that, people are going to know you're flanking. Okay. What's the best way to kind of scout and get a good off angle like this without anyone knowing?
I guess just to peek without doing anything.
Yep, peek without doing anything. Exactly, right? No harmony orbs, no discords. Bear in mind, plays like this are like game winning, but they're not easy, and you have to be very careful. It's risky, but you can literally win a fight from this because it allows the dive to come out and you to get a Discord. And by the way, when your team dives and you peek out of this angle here, you would Discord the person and then you would just fire left clicks into their body, right? And that's the extra damage and that like your team will need to like kill someone like the Orisa or something like that. But once this happens, what should you do after?
Probably just back off.
Get out immediately. Once you've done one peek like that with the Discord, once the enemies hear you, you need to get out and back up, right? And especially, by the way, if you're against a team that has is Tracer spam, I've seen spam teams that run Tracer, you can't do this at all, okay?
Oh yeah, because that'd be just dead.
Yeah, exactly. The Tracer's like job will be, okay, I'm going to focus this end down and stop him from flanking, right? This applies to any other character that like the enemies might have that are just like really easy to chase you down and kill you. But as you can see, all their characters, they can't really chase you down and kill you. Like Ashe would have to use Coach Gun, Widow would have to use Grapple, right? And first of all, they'd have to know you're there. They don't really move a lot. Do you see what I mean? They stay in one position where they are and they just shoot. Okay, so that gives you this opportunity to flank, right? Anyway, let's watch what you do here. The peek out there was, did you see yourself peek out then?
Yeah.
Complete waste. Don't do that. It just reveals your position. You're going to be hiding a lot. And again, why do you need to stand here to heal this echo? Why can't you do it like back here? Do you see what I mean? Or just here?
No point.
the enemies can see you right now. Look, if you can see the Orisa and the Sigma and the Mercy, they can see you. They're going to call you out, right? Don't go out this much. In terms of your like micro movement, it's a bit sloppy, and you're moving when you don't even need to. Standing still is fine with Zen. And if you accidentally like press W and put yourself in bad positions, learn to hold down crouch so that you can make like smaller movement adjustments without actually, like walking out in the open like you are now, right?
Okay.
And again, can you see? Even you kind of realized and you walked back. You don't have to do that. Again, if you're here, by the way, how do you heal the Orisa without peeking out at all? Think of physics. Or
Sorry,
think
how
of
do I heal
angles.
people?
How do you heal the Diva, sorry, without peeking out at all, without the enemies being able to see you at all? How do you heal the Diva? Imagine that my camera is you.
Yeah, I just peek like a little bit S and then D,
Well, like
just
that.
so I only see, so I can only see them, but
No.
not.
No. Don't do that. Just walk back like that. That's all you got to do, and then you can see them. See?
Okay, yeah.
Right? The closer you are to a wall, the harder it is to like if you need to heal someone, right? I know, obviously, you want to be close to walls all the time, but this is still close to a wall. It's just like it's like half a second backwards, right? And this position here where my camera is means you can heal the Diva and no one can see you. Whereas if the closer you are to a wall, the harder it is to heal people. You have to peek out too much. Enemies will be able to see you if you peek out to heal the Diva like this, right? Because your like feet and legs will be in the way. So you can move backwards to get better angles. Same with this echo, right? If you're standing here and you want to heal the echo, you'd have to move out. The enemies will see you, right? Just move backwards. Just know the like kind of angles that you can take or the positions you can take to still heal people without them seeing you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Again,
So
it's
general tip in this situation would be hit S to peek, basically.
Yeah,
Not
but
always
it's
peeking,
different.
like out, peek more.
It's just
into
physics, right?
the-
It's different depending on what angle. It's just how angles work. It's more not physics. It's more like maths.
Yeah.
But like, just know the easiest way I do it, right, is I know where the enemies are standing there, and then I draw a line, and I know I can't be anywhere past this line,
That's fine.
right? I have to be this side of the line. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? And obviously this applies to all their characters. So like if Mercy's there, the line goes to there. The line always meets at this little star here because this star is the corner. So basically you take the widest character on their team. So the widest character would be someone standing like here or someone standing like over here, right? That's I mean, it could go even wider if they were standing like over here, right? If they're standing on this bridge. But you take the widest character on their team, the person who's on the widest angle, and you draw an invisible line. So let's say someone's standing here. You draw it and you make it connect with the corner of the map. So and then just continue it on. So there you go. If there's someone standing on the bridge here, you couldn't stand anywhere past this line in this triangle. You'd have to stand this side. See what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And again, you're standing in a good position right now. It's just that half of the time, if you play the replay, you're moving past this invisible line from the Orisa. Watch. Like now, I mean, now you're actually peeking. That's fine. Okay. Bad example. But before you were, right? Now you're actually peeking to Discord. By the way, what's the first thing you should do now if there's no shield for the Orisa?
Spam as well and shout that she's discorded.
There's one thing you haven't done. You haven't discorded her.
Why is she not discorded?
You haven't. That's the first thing you should do before you shoot as Zen, right? It's just spam.
Discord.
Right. Okay. So as Zen, by the way, when this game first came out, I basically changed my E button on Zen to mouse 5, like the side mouse buttons. So my Discord is now a side mouse button, and what that means is when you're going in and out like that, you can be clicking E the whole time because it's a side mouse button. Whereas if you're pressing E, you can't move right and press E at the same time because they're on like different keys. Do you see what I mean? It's like you'd use the same finger for it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult.
So I have my Discord live, so I can go in and out like this while spamming the E key and just instantly discording people. It's a cool thing I did. I did this like 4 years ago, let's say, and no one else really had done it. No one else does it. I don't honestly. You'd have to ask like pro Zen players. I don't know what they do in that scenario if they change it to a different key or whatever. But yeah, my mouse 5 is my E, and I did it for every character as well because I preferred it having mouse 5 on E. But for Zen it makes the biggest difference. It was mainly because of Zen. But anyway, you did Discord her eventually then, so that was fine, and you're getting good headshots. The way you shoot isn't a good rhythm. But again, this is really, I'm really nitpicking here, right? This is like really micro nitpicking. Okay. With shooting and Zen, you should be able to do this. Shoot, 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 like that. Do you see?
Yeah.
Learn to get a rhythm with A and D. So it goes in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, or slower, in, out, in, out, in, out. Learn to get a rhythm. Go into custom games, and you need to definitely do this, right? To get a rhythm of in and out. Then, so first of all, you just practice the rhythm with your hands. Again, this is like music now, right? We've gone from maths to music. It really is. It really is music. And basically practice that rhythm, and then start doing it around a corner. If you get the rhythm of your left click, how fast you can shoot a left click, basically every time you peek out, you're shooting. Don't ever hold down left click. No character should do this unless it's a character that fires spray of bullets like soldier or tracer. I always say to people, if you're playing a character that fires one bullet at a time, one big bullet, like I don't know, Ash, Widow, right, a Zen, stuff like that, right? Do never hold down the button. Do you hold down the button, a Zen? Be honest. When you're left clicking. Just close your eyes and visualize it.
Sure. I think I do a little bit of both.
Never hold it down, ever. So this is the biggest tip I can give you. Any burst character or any character that fires a big bullet, as I've just mentioned, basically it's most characters that you flick with, right? So like McCree, Zen, whatever, never hold down the gun. It's the worst way. It completely ruins your rhythm, right? And it is the worst way to get like consistent hits out. Some people, what the problem is, right? New players, they think if I hold down a gun, or if I hold down the bullet, I'm shooting at the fastest speed I possibly can. And on paper, that's great. If you had an aimbot, that's great. How aiming works inside your brain and how rhythms work with like corner peeking and stuff like that means that this is the worst thing you can do. Unless your rhythm is literally fast enough, fine. But even if it is fast enough that you can, like shoot and peek as fast as holding it down, you still shouldn't hold it down. Basically, left clicking adds to the rhythm and it makes it easier for your brain to do it. So it's I don't know. You can't hear my keyboard, but like it makes it way easier for the brain. Yeah. It makes it way easier for the brain to do. Do not hold down. Okay, just click. Even if you're clicking really fast, right? Click. Fine. And it gets you into this rhythm, and it allows you to do really precise and clean corner picks. Because right now your corner picks, you're hitting the wall. Let's watch it again. Let's watch your corner picks again. First of all, you weren't even doing it here. You did it a bit, but it's like completely out of rhythm. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you notice? So again, this takes practice. Sorry?
I've shot the wall there.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is, I guess, a sign of
exactly. It takes practice, but honestly, it's a lot easier than you think. All you need to do, and I want you to do after this lesson to get good at it, is go in a custom game and just do it for like 10 minutes. It really is easy once you get used to it. Again, it's to do with kind of like music rhythm if you're kind of good at that. And just practice it in a custom game. Anyway, let's watch. So the Discord was fine, target was fine. Do you know what your team is doing though right now? Like when you were here, you're starting to rotate to go on the off angle, right? Do you think that's a good time to rotate, or are your team in the middle of a dive?
We're in the middle of a dive.
Yep.
So
because
I guess
grapple there means
slow, yeah.
It's the wrong timing, right? If you're in the middle of a dive, you have to stick with the position you're in, which was here, right? So stick within the position, keep on peeking, shooting until the dive is over. How do you know a dive is over?
I guess once the first target is dead. Or like
so once someone is dead, someone on your team, someone on the enemy team, fine. But how do you know the dive is over and it's being reset if no one died?
I guess if like
who do you look at on your team?
I would guess in this situation the ball. My main tank.
Always the ball, right? The
Yeah.
ball is the person who's calling the dive. He's the main tank. He's calling the dive. He is basically the main part of the dive, right? If the best way to know if a dive is over, right, is if the ball starts completely rolling away and going like off, and you can see your teammates through walls, so you can see this really quickly and really easily, right? That's how you know, okay? And at that point, once the dive is over, what should you do as the Zen?
Either back off or change position or
so perfect, right? Reposition, stop shooting, stop peeking, okay? If let's say in this super situational scenario, right, the dive is over, but the enemy like Orisa was on 1 HP, and for some reason the ball didn't continue, and it just started running away. Maybe the ball didn't realize. Maybe you got a lucky headshot as they started to run away, or something like that. What should you do then? Should you continue going for the kill with a few more peeks, or should you just leave it?
Probably leave it.
Nope. You can continue going for that, right? But the key reason, the reason I bring this up is how many more like kind of peak shots should you do in that scenario? Because if I say just continue going for it, right, you might think, okay, I'm just going to continue with like 15 more shots until she puts down her shield and then you die, right? How many like more on average do you think you should like kind of go for, like peak shots, to try and make sure you get the kill without chasing after someone? Like, just think of it. Honestly, this is up to you, right? For you, I would suggest 2, right? 2 more peak shots, and if you miss both of those on the 1 HP Orisa, that's your own fault, right? Do you see what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Any more than 2, and you're tunnel visioning. And the problem with tunnel visioning is that you start to kind of overextend. You just die, right? Do you see what I mean? So
yeah,
don't do that, basically. But yeah, right now your rotation is kind of wrong timing. That's absolutely fine. Because the Orisa dies. Ed with a great headshot. And by the way, Mercy didn't res the Ash, did she?
no, I don't know why.
No, she didn't. I don't know why. Maybe the shield just went down as she was going for the res. Doesn't matter. But anyway, at this point, the team fight is pretty much won as long as you don't throw. How do you not throw on Zen? How do you make sure you don't throw on Zen?
Don't feed. Don't just hit W or do dumb peaks.
Right, that's the point. Okay, and I'm gonna see if you
overconfident.
I'm gonna see what you do. Yeah, stick with the plan. That's the main thing. That's what I say to people, right? Stick with the plan. Because right now, this is your death time. If the Widow's good, she missed, right? You should have been dead then, right?
Yeah.
Good Widow, and you would have been dead, right? Why? Or what do you think caused that? What do you think caused you to be in a position where the Widow killed you like that?
I would say it was
So
because we're up to, we can W.
Right, so you started Wing because obviously that's fine to do because you it's a position. But while you were Wing, what weren't you next to?
Natural cover.
Yeah, you need to always be rotating next to natural cover, right? So every rotation you make, so obviously you start here, you move up and you hug the wall, so you can there's a natural cover. You hug the wall, then you can use that natural cover. So you're basically moving from one natural cover to another. You're not just walking forwards, you're going natural cover, natural cover, natural cover. That's how you play Zen, right? That's how you play a lot of supports pretty much. Anna as well, that's the flex support, that's like your job. You see what I mean? Right?
Yep.
And if you did that, the moment you saw the grapple from the Widow, what's the first thing you do?
Hide.
Don't think you can shoot her. Hide, yes. Whose job is it to kill the Widow on your team?
My Widow.
It's the divers, the
Or
tanks,
even Echo.
and the Widow.
Oh, yeah.
The Widow and the tanks. It's their job. It's not your job. If you see a Widow, right, you can just absolutely hide non-stop until your tanks or your Widow do something to pressure her out, right? You're just completely hiding. Even if you're literally doing nothing, you've gotten a pick already. Doing nothing is fine because eventually, the Widow's going to be dived, and at that point, when the dive comes out again, you can peek again. So you're only hiding for like probably 10 seconds max, and that's a long time anyway, right? 10 seconds is a long time for your tanks to set up a dive, so they'll be 100% ready by then. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
Right, but watch it again.
In this situation, I should also call it out, yeah? Like,
yeah,
for example, if there's a Widow that's right,
Widow's
I just
grappled to
can't
the right.
pick it off.
Yep. Yeah. That's something you can call out, right? So what you do is this: the moment you see that grapple and you see her move in position, right? What I would have done is I was walking up here, I see the grapple, I would have moved immediately to here, right? And I said, Widow top right. Like, can you dive her? Or just Widow top right. Like, there is a call out for this. I don't really know the call outs because when I played, people didn't really use them.
Yeah.
Just say mega. Just say outside mega room. Outside mega room. Like, I just made that up and it probably would work, right? Outside mega room at the top, even more specific, right?
Yeah, I know what
get as specific as possible. Yeah, you can make it specific as possible, right? Or make it short and sweet. Up to you, right? As long as your teammates know what you're talking about and you're not just coming up with a random one, right? Yeah, but the moment you see this, right, your reaction to her grappling over was way too slow. You should be dead already at this point. You're dead in about 0.25 seconds if Widow can aim at you. Watch, right? She's on 0. Okay, not 0.25 seconds. About here. The moment right, so what you basically learn is the moment you walked behind here, you were safe. But the moment you walk out of this, you're dead. So if you really want to hide from the Widow and you don't even want to go for make her go for a shot. Now you're peeking her to right click her. This is mad, right? Never ever do that. Even if you're up, it doesn't make a difference to a Widow. You could be up 5 characters. It could be Widow solo, and she can just carry a game. It makes no difference how many people you're up in terms of team against a Widow. To her, makes no difference. She's playing solo since the start of the game. That's how Widows play, right? So, if you got to here and you were behind her, what should you do to get back to safety or back to natural cover? If you're standing here because the thing is in the way.
If I wanted to go like back towards the mega, I would just look
See-
down at the floor and face her.
Walk around the corner like that. So that's one. The second one is just stand here, right? Just if there's a thing in the way, right, and you're standing here, you're fine as long as there's a thing in the way. She has to move left and right. So yes, she could move to the right and kill you, but remember, the closer you are to cover, the less she can cover. So look at the position my camera is right now. She can't hit you at all if you're standing here, and because the enemies aren't peeking over and they're playing back because the 2 of their teammates are dead, you'd be fine just standing still in this position. Right? Completely still in this position, right? Or you could go even closer like this, and now you're 100% safe. Remember, they've lost Orisa and they've lost Ashe. That's your 2 biggest threats dead. That your only threat is Widow, so the only thing you need to think about where to hold or what to do is in a position where the Widow can't see you. But what you did here is you peeked out to try and shoot her, and you're basically giving her an opportunity. You're giving your biggest threat, an opportunity to kill you, right? Doing this was such a misplay, but you're lucky that she missed. And you're fine with it. But now you know, because you've been hit and okay, I'm not peeking her anymore. But you should have known this from the start, because if she had a good aim, Zens are really, really easy to hit on Widow, especially if she's not moving, right? And especially if you're jumping, which you were. She just missed completely. You're peeking out here. Maybe you were told by your Echo that the Widow is fighting her, or maybe you heard the Widow, or you saw your Echo fighting the Widow, whatever. So you peek out. This is fine to do, right?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the Echo did call out the choose on the mega.
Yeah, but by the way, what's Echo's counter really?
Widow.
Yeah, so should Echo be doing what she just did? It's what that Echo just did, go like the Widow. I know a lot of the time, like Echo can get a kill at close range against a Widow, right? If Echo gets really close to a Widow's face, she can get a kill. But what the Echo did there was almost similar to what you were doing, right? She peeked the Widow and she decided to fight her when it's not her job. I've just told you whose job it is to kill that Widow, right? So in my opinion, number 1 would be your Widow, number 2 would be Diva, number 3 would be Bull, and then the rest are all even, right? If it's not one of those 3 going on the Widow, you need to be telling them, can you get on that Widow or go on the Widow, or, oh, there's a Widow top right, Widow top right. If you say it with enough urgency in your voice, your teammates will go on her automatically, right? Does that make sense? I do understand that because your Widow, wants to hold this position as long as possible to keep the enemies back here, that she won't be able to kill this Widow. This is why Widow grappled over here, right? Because this angle is way better for her. She can cover like a lot of the map, and this Widow can't see her. And she just knows that Ed killed 2 people on her team, so she's kind of scared to actually contest her. So this position here was really good for her. I mean, she got a kill. She nearly got a kill on you. Once she peeks out here, which she will, she's just going to kill you and Diva. And now this is a completely won fight to a completely lost fight. I just said to you, right? Widows play maps like 1v6 from the beginning. They don't care how many of their team are dead, right? They play it from 1v6 at the beginning. So this is scary for your team now, but it's because none of you on your team are contesting her, and it is your job to just basically call her out urgently and with enough urgency to kind of tell your team you need to go on her. And I do understand that also Diva's demeched, so she can't really do that. But once Diva gets her mech up, that is number 1 priority, and it's number 1 priority for Chemist as well. He shouldn't be diving these people over here. He should be diving the Widow. These guys are too scared to peek out anyway because of Ed. And Ed can't get a good angle on the Widow, so it should be, Chemist, let's go, right? And for you, I know I'm kind of at this point, I'm coaching Chemist, but for you, you're peeking out. Don't peek out, right? You just stay safe against the Widow. You need to be calling out in your own voice. Because look, here we go, Widow again. If she's good, you're dead, right? Simple as that. Yep. I knew it was going to happen. I just knew it was going to happen, right? Again, I haven't even seen this replay. I just know that's going to happen because you're peeking against your hardest counter, and you're expecting, after you running away and going back out, you're expecting her to just not know. She knows you're there. You were just there before. You're not going to make a time, she's gonna jump out, and the first place she's gonna look is here. And if there's no one here, then she's gonna look at main. And if you're at main, she'd kill you then. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
Right? Now we have a one fight that was completely won. Now it's completely even again because you and Echo both peaked her. Yeah? This is a massive mistake from you, but again, it doesn't really matter. Scrims doesn't really matter. It's a mistake now, you know. And now you continue, and you basically, people now know the urgency of killing this widow. Even Mini Diva is trying to contest her and trying to peek her and stuff like that. Mini Diva's just going to die. I mean, at that point, she reset. That's why she stood still. But your whole team had reset here off of like Ed's 2 massive picks, right? Feels really bad for Ed because he's done super, super well. Got 2 picks and literally kept 3 people on the enemy team back and not able to leave, right? And now his team has lost that, right? You can see how bad that feels for Ed, right? Just because people are peeking this widow. Send a tank on the widow. I know Ed could go and kill the widow himself, but I'd say tanks are way, way more safer to do something like to do that in this scenario. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense. I feel like this is stuff you should also tell your other team. But anyway, let's speed up. Anyway, now the res comes out and you no longer have an advantage. I think the Orisa... Oh, she's back. Yeah. So now this fight is back to square one. Wait. I don't know why the whole team is holding up there. I feel like the Orisa was just like, the Orisa's like, guys, what are you doing? Like she's just like, guys, what are you doing up there? Like this is really bad. But
God, I'm lonely.
this Orisa could be dead. This Orisa could die now if she's, or maybe she's calling to the team to say like, guys, come down and play with me. And you can see Raccoon starts dropping down. He dropped down terribly then because he could have got headshots so easily. I feel like this guy doesn't know how to play against Widow and he keeps on getting headshot, the Raccoon. But anyway, the fight has reset, right? The fight has reset. The Widow ult has come out from ASP. So when a Widow ult's come out, what should you do as then?
Don't peek.
You can't peek at all. You can't even do the initial peek thing that I said earlier, right? You can't peek at all. You just have to wait until the dive comes out and the Widow either is being told to you where she is by someone on your team. Because if your team says, oh, Widow's in her original position where she killed you, or Widow's up here, right? You can peek. It's fine. You can like come out, walk here, and you'll be fine the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not fine because this is a stupid place to go as Zen. You'd get killed by dynamite. But you can peek into here. Do you see what I mean? Yep. Right? The Widow's up there. So if the Widow ult comes out, wait for your team to dive the Widow, or wait for you to get information of her whereabouts. Okay. Okay, let's go again. I guess your whole team waits because you know they're Widow.
Call.
Okay. What? Wait. What?
So there,
really good matrix from your Diva, by the way. That Diva, your Diva did really well though.
Yeah, there I had asked, let's just go right side. Diva just DM us in 3, 2, 1, and then we did that.
But what's your plan here?
Here I just said, let us know when you have DM, and we're going top right. Take Mega.
Oh, okay, to take it off the Widow.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
I like how you kind of came up with a plan and took it into your own hands. That's really good. I just don't know how much I like this plan.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think? Well, now watching it again, let's watch it first. I'm gonna watch it. Let's watch it in normal speed. To be fair, the rotation went really, really well. Really good matrices there. Okay, to be honest, now it's fine. But basically, right? What's the problem with this plan? It's not really a problem. I think this is good, right? I think this is a good plan to do, and it kind of gets your team split like this. You know, you guys have so like you've called it out, right? And you've done it really, really well. So that's like very, very good for your team, right? So I do like. The only issue I'm seeing, right, is with this. So wait, where's your echo? Oh, okay. So you have the Mercy and the Widow mid. Actually, no, that's honestly fine. The issue I'm seeing is this high ground stays uncontested. Probably not a problem. As long as you guys know that these are your new main targets to go for, right? This is a good rotation. So I like this. It was really risky to do with that, but you actually made it work out. Again, the only part where I thought you were going to die is when you were here and the Ash started shooting you. You need to hug the wall and look backwards again. Remember, Ash is your sniper. Just hug the wall and look backwards and just get up here as quick as possible. But let's see how this goes now. I think this could go well. Oh, that was insane, that right click. Okay. Okay, so the right click peek was insane. Really good kill there. The bit I don't like now is the bit after here.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Peeking
What's wrong with your movement at this point?
Jumping and peeking a little way too much.
Jumping and just doing random patterns in the open. Watch your movement here. You're just jumping and you're like peeking out. It's the jumping. The jumping's the main thing. Stop jumping as Zen. Why shouldn't you jump as Zen? Why shouldn't you jump as anyone?
It's just predictable line of movement, easy.
So
kills.
There's loads of reasons, but the first one is predictable line of movement, 100%. 2, it stops you from being able to do what?
Crouch, I guess.
No, strafe. Stops you from being able to strafe. If you're in midair, you can't strafe. You can air strafe, completely different thing, right? Air acceleration is low in most games ever made, right? Because that's just kind of it's not even realistic, because in real life you couldn't move at all in the air. But air strafe is low in most games, right? For balance, okay? Otherwise everyone would jump all the time. But well, they wouldn't. But anyway, it stops you from being able to strafe. If you're in the air, you can't do the left-right strafe like this. You can't do that at all because you're in the air, right? So predictable line of movement stops you from being able to air strafe, stops you from being able to move is the best way, right? When you're in the air, you can't really move. You can't change the direction, right? So those are like 2 big reasons for that, right? That's pretty much the only real reasons you need to know. The 2 big reasons you need to know to just stop jumping, right? And third of all, what's the benefit of jumping in your eyes? Why are you jumping here? Like, what do you think? What's the reason for you jumping?
There is none. Jumping because adrenaline.
Exactly. There is none. So why are you jumping at all? There's only one time you should be jumping. When should you be jumping?
Get on top of something.
Yeah, exactly. No, that is literally it. Like, seriously. It's that ridiculous, right? Jumping is literally just to get somewhere higher, right? Other than that, if you go and watch right now, like a plat comp game or even diamond comp game, and just look at how often people jump, it's insane, right? Insane. Seriously, I've coached hundreds and hundreds of people, and if they're like below diamond, right, every single one of them is just spamming jump. And what I say to them is I pause it at a random time in the video, and I literally say to them, do you realize how much you jump? And they're like, no. Or they're like, no, I don't think I jump that much, or whatever. And then I say, just look at this. And then I basically play the video and they're jumping nonstop. But then I say to them, now look at how much everyone at your rank jumps. And every single person in their rank in the comp game is just spamming jump like every 2 seconds, like jump, jump. Some of them are just bunny hopping everywhere, right? And then you watch a top 500 game and you realize like no one jumps literally at all. Okay. Now, psychologically, jumping makes sense. Why does it make sense psychologically to jump? What happens, right? In real life, when someone scares you or someone like peeks out or like something comes after you, right?
You like get spooked and you kind of hop, basically.
It's like you do like a jump, right? Basically, psychologically, it makes sense because in your head, it's like, oh, I'm moving faster. I'm like harder to hit or I'm like jumping away. Do you see what I mean? It's in card coded into our brains to do it psychologically. What you kind of need to realize is as well, once you kind of know and kind of separate yourself from the game and just realize obviously you're in real life, you're just sitting still and you're just looking at the screen. Everything you do is just only hand movements, right? You'll start. I know that's not the real reason to stop yourself from jumping. There's other good ways to stop yourself from jumping, but that helps. It's the same as when an old person plays a game or like a child plays a game. They're like moving their head around. They're like ducking when they nearly get a headshot and stuff like that, right? It's a psychological thing to do. It's just half of, ducking really quickly or like crouching your head or like stuff like that. You can't do that in game. You can't like move your head solo. The only thing you can do is like jump, and it's like just a bad kind of habit. Do you see what I mean? So stop jumping. That's a really long way of saying you need to stop jumping because you jump too much. Look, just look again. I'm going to play it now and just look how much you jump each time. Watch. Jump. 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 I mean, jumping off is fine, right? I mean, at this point, the fight's already won, so you don't need to jump. But there you go. You just jumped again. You just jumped again. You just jumped again. Do you see how much you're jumping, right?
Yep.
I could play any VOD ever of you, and you'll be jumping every half a second or second, right? That means you've probably made like 1 million jumps that are bad, right? It's ridiculous how much people, and it's not your fault, right? Everyone does it. Every single person does it when they begin shooting games or shooters or just Overwatch or whatever. Because as I said, it's a natural habit that you have to break. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. If I could tell you the psychological like method to stop jumping or stop the habit, I would. But there's loads of different ways, really. And the way I did it was to kind of realize when I was jumping, right? And to kind of like stop myself, like punish myself and actively think about it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, especially with Zen, by the way, jumping is even worse with Zen. I'd say it's not as bad on heroes like Echo, because you jump to get. I mean, it's still bad on most heroes. I think tanks is when makes the least difference, because it doesn't really matter. They have so much HP, and like they're not going to die instantly to anything, and they don't really strafe as much either. But any hero that requires a lot of like in and out strafing like this, especially Zen, it is so key to not jump. Here comes the dynamite. It's gone. What's your game plan here?
Here was.
So what I saw here, right, is did your ball go in there, or was it just like a free kill? Let's watch it again. Is there a way to go back like 10 seconds? I wish there was a way to.
Yeah, go to options, scroll to the very bottom, and then time skip interval length.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was since like the last update where they.
Is there like a
changed that.
button to press to go forward and back in the?
Yeah. It is.
Oh, I put it mouse
yeah.
4 and mouse 5. Oh, that's insane. Okay. So I don't think this was Chemist going in. I think he just got lucky with that, right?
Yeah.
So this is fine. I thought it was him going in, and I was like, you guys aren't even ready to go in with him. But I think this was just a lucky kill. What this should show, though, is Widow's dead. You guys need to start going in. Like, count this as going in. Does that make sense? And I think this is what you guys do anyway. Let's watch. Yeah, you start to go in. You get the angle. You're shooting from there. Again, your left click rhythm was a bit weaker, but that's fine. You've got a really good position here, but you're peeking out of the box too much. All you need to do here, right? What can you do? Here's another good thing, right? Here's another good habit breaker. A habit breaker is what I like to call them. So the peeking out too much. How do you think? What's a good way to break that habit? I've kind of mentioned it already, but what would be a good thing to do here?
Just kind of hug that box and just stand still.
Crouch.
Yeah, just stand still. Why do you need to move at all? Right, in this scenario, if you're shooting this diva, why do you need to move at all? You're just making it harder for you to hit bullets. Okay, the only reason for moving is to make it so it's harder for like snipers to hit you. But if you know where all the snipers are, or the snipers are dead, or you know they're all main, whatever, you've been called out, you don't have to move at all. Just stand still. And by the way, I'm going to tell you this, and this is super helpful. What's a good thing you could do to kind of get into a habit of standing still, to get into a habit of like not peeking out too much or not moving too erratically? It's basically just crouch. Okay, that's it. That's how I broke that habit, right? I just crouched. Every time I wanted to like peek out or I was moving too much, I'd just hold down crouch. And when I was holding down crouch, I was realizing I was moving less. And then I realized that because I was moving less, my character wasn't moving as much. And because my character wasn't moving as much, I might as well have just stand still. It kind of made me realize that like the movement was just pointless, right? That's just for me though. Try it yourself. Try just crouching a lot more, okay?
Okay.
With Zen, just try it. Honestly, I think it will work. And if it does work, do let me know, because it is different for other people, but I think that's a good way. Oh, okay. What do you think of this tranquility here? Was it to keep your ball alive?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So when you trans, should you say something just before you're about to trans? Or if
Other
it's
than,
like a
calling out
reactionary thing.
transing?
Yeah. So it's a reactionary thing. So in this point, right, you trans because your ball was low. The moment you trans, let's say you do it out of a reaction, what should you call to your team?
I just shout that I'm transing. That I'm
No,
using
just
ult.
say go in, right?
Yeah.
If you're transing like this to keep one person alive, you want to go in. I don't think the transcendence was necessary here, but because you're transcendencing to like go in, right? What should you be calling to your team? You should be calling for your team to go in. This, in my opinion, right? If there's one person that needs healing, you don't need to transfer them, right?
Mhm.
So if you're transing just to keep them alive like that and you're running in, you need to tell your team to go in, because they can't really read your mind, right? I know if they hear a transcendence, they're going to go in as well. But if you say it earlier, they're more likely to go in quicker. And your team will go in here because the ball screwed up the grapple. But yeah, by the time the time the trans has ended, nothing's happened, right? No one's really gone in. Okay, I like this play, but you're going on the wrong person. Wait, what? Who are you
I
aiming?
think the replay viewer bugged.
Let's watch this again. I like this play, but yeah, before you did this, you didn't scout, right? You shouldn't be going on this ash. And second of all, you shouldn't be jumping in the open to go on this ash. Don't do that, right? Just literally stand up here and just stand still and just right click her and then move away, right? But second of all, don't come from this box. Please come from ground places.
Farther.
If you
Okay.
come from ground places, it stops you jumping. Because you jumped up here, you jumped into the ash. Just watch it again, right? You literally jump into the ash's head, right? It's just a bad habit. Look, you're jumping and you just jumped into it. Like, it made you miss every bullet, right? Do you see how bad that was, right? You missed every bullet because you're just running and jumping in. And I know it feels satisfying and it feels fun to just run and jump in with Zen with a right click, but you're going to miss more. You're going to die more. It's just bad, right? Try and get out of that habit. And now you're in a terrible position and you haven't been able to kill anyone because you just run and jumped in. You didn't give yourself time. I would have way preferred it if you came up to here and then you went into the back of the widow and you calmly just discorded her and two-clicked her in the head. After you've killed her, you then start peek the ash and like 1v1ing her. At this distance, it's okay to 1v1 these snipers because this is their weak distance and this is your strong distance. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I'm putting myself at the advantage.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. So I just think this was like, yeah, just, I mean, I know this was just like completely YOLO run in, and now you're in a completely ridiculous position. And again, if you're at this distance, you don't need to hold down right click, just focus on left clicking. And right, what do you think a problem is here? What's going wrong? This was a bad 1v1, but what went wrong? You were missing a lot in a row. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you something, and this, I know this is true, because again, it's another subconscious thing that happens to everyone. When you start missing loads and loads of bullets in a row, do you just notice that, do you start noticing that you're like missing loads in a row, right?
Yeah.
So when you're missing, do you notice how it's all in a row? It's not just like you're missing, sometimes, you know, you miss one every so often, but then when you start missing, you just miss loads in a row. Everyone notices that. I'm sure you do, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Now, do you know the reason why?
Because I'm overthinking my shots, I guess.
Not even, no. You've disrupted your rhythm and you're out of rhythm. Do you know how I said earlier about the rhythm? You're out of rhythm. So if you're missing loads in a row, you'll just miss all of them, because that's like trying to do a drum beat off rhythm. If you're trying to do something off rhythm, the whole thing is out of rhythm, so you're missing every one. So a good example, as I said, with the drum beat, right? Imagine you're playing like Rock Band or like a Guitar Hero, right? And you're trying to hit it in a rhythm. So 1, 2, 3. If you go off rhythm, you're now missing everyone. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
And that's like shooting your left click. When you're firing goes in a rhythm. If you're shooting off rhythm of your aim, you'll start missing just every shot in a row. How do you reset that rhythm? How do you start hitting again? What's the best way? It's again, same as instruments. And it really seriously does work. It's insane how our brain works, but it does.
I guess
How
just
do you
take
think you
like
reset that rhythm?
just like a quick pause and then go
Yeah,
back.
that's it. Exactly how you do with the drum kit, right? Just pause for like a millisecond, pause for half a second between shots. Just stop because what that does is it stops the rhythm and it catches you back onto it. Do you see what I mean? Trust me, if you start missing shots, just do that and you just watch, you'll hit like the next shot. It's insane. Sometimes the rhythm might have to be longer, depends how quickly your character shoots, basically, and how quickly the rhythm is in your head. But also, it doesn't depend how quickly the character shoots. That's only if you're shooting as quick as the character shoots. It depends on your rhythm of shots. So how quickly do you like to shoot Zen bullets? Do you like to shoot them as quickly as the character does? Fine, right? Then you can just pause for as long as the character shoots, just pause for half a second. But if you like to do like 1 Zen shot, then like wait, and then 2 Zen shot. Like if you like to do longer pauses, then you'd have to pause for longer. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Try that though. It seriously works. Like seriously try it. Everyone should try that. It's insane, right? How much it works, and you will see a difference, right? Just doing long. And by the way, it also works in the same way for doing longer pauses for hitting more shots. If you do longer pauses between each shots, you will hit more on average, because it also gives you time to kind of like line them up. You're lining them up in a rhythm, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, anyway, that is all the time we have. That's our hour, basically.
Yes.
Do you have any questions about this or anything? I know I didn't really get through the replay, but There's low. Again, I don't like getting through replays entirely because it's just the same stuff all over and over again. And like I think within the first 2 minutes, you're going to come through with the most. Well, the most kind of issues show within the first 2 minutes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, not really. I don't have any
You sure?
questions.
Does it all make sense? Is this something that you disagree with, or does it all make sense?
No, it makes sense. Like jumping is an issue. I should definitely keep in mind like LOS and to be careful with my peaking.
Yeah.
And like you said,
Make
try
rotations
maybe
more
control.
cleanly.
Yeah.
Get a rhythm in your
control as well.
shooting. Always Discord first. Maybe try changing your Discord key. Go for flanks, but stay hidden. There's loads of stuff, right? Oh well. I mean, have you written down notes or have you been recording?
Both.
Yeah. I mean, I have a really, really good memory, so I rarely take notes.
Even if you have a really good memory, it's not, unless it's literally like genius memory, you will forget stuff. So definitely do write it down because that is the biggest thing. Trust me. I mean, this is how like companies function, right? And technically, if you go to high level, teams are like businesses at the end of the day, and companies with employees, right? The employees are the players. In a company you wouldn't just remember stuff in your head, you'd have to write it down. It makes a big difference to yourself, right? Really does. So I highly recommend it. Again, I was the same as you, but then once I realized that writing down stuff to remember, I would actually fix issues way quicker because you just remember them, and then it means that like some of the stuff I went through wasn't just like a waste, if you see what I mean.
True. I mean, I normally
Okay.
like, for example, the things that you had mentioned about BAP. Later that day, I played BAP and kept everything in mind.
Yeah, but definitely recommend to write it down. There's no harm in doing it, and it's way easier to remember. Definitely.
Awesome.
Like it's impossible to do it with your mind. It's impossible. It's like humanly impossible to remember everything because it's 1 hour of content. Humans, I think, remember like 20 minutes before they need like a break, really, unless they're like writing it down and stuff like that. Right. So, yeah, but that's it. Have you got any other questions?
No, not really.
Not from me, no.
No. All good. All right. I will see you guys later, and yeah, hope it goes well.